Have a seat, Sanskriti.
Thank you, sir.
Sanskriti, so you are from Ranchi.
Yes, sir.
You're born in Ranchi,
sir.
but you mentioned correspondence address in Delhi.
Yes, sir.
So you are working here in Delhi, or
No, sir. My father is working here, and I live with my parents. My father lives in. He works in Mekon, which is a PSU under Ministry of Steel, and that's why I live with them.
okay, all right. Yeah. Your optional is political science and international
Yes,
relations.
sir. Yes.
You have also done BA honors in political science from
Yes,
Gargi College, Delhi,
Yes.
and also done MA
Yes,
in politics, specialization in international
Yes.
relations from JNU. Okay, both are very prestigious, Delhi University and JNU. And you are fond of Gita chanting, or you participated
Yes,
in
sir,
a
I did.
in a program.
sir.
Yeah, at the state level.
Yes, sir.
And then you are fond of quizzing also.
Yes, I actually, sir, I pursued quizzing in college, and I was also the vice president of my quizzing society in my college. And I have not been able to pursue quizzing a lot after that. But now and then I enjoy just going through slides which is put on SlideShare, what quizzes are being put, and I enjoy reading on them. But I'm not participating a lot these
You
days.
have been school head also, school head girl
Yes.
also, and gender champion.
Yes, sir.
So, first of all, let me ask you this thing. And of course, you are interested in Indian cuisine also.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you, do you know the history of the word quiz, from where it has been derived? Have you read it? Quiz. Why it's called quiz?
No, sir, I'm not aware, sir.
Doesn't matter. You can go and read about it.
Yes, sir.
Because quiz was derived, it's a kind of a nonsense word which was used. So a group of children, they were talking to each other, and they said that if any one of them took upon the challenge of writing some word in the entire town and immediately, start picking up. So he wrote the word quiz, and quiz became, by the end of the day, it became a very, very popular word. So that was how quiz. Tell me, why is India providing many benefits to one of its neighbor, Nepal? What exactly Nepal holds significance for India?
Sir, Nepal and India have been in good relations since a very long time. They share historical relationships. And currently, if you look at the situation strategically, Nepal forms a buffer zone between India and India's rival, China. That's why India needs Nepal in a very in its good books, and also it needs Nepal so as to save itself from any kind of Chinese incursions, because the geographical position is
so
one.
Geographical position, strategic location, security consideration,
Yes,
that is one.
Yes,
what other things are important in so far?
So people-to-people ties are very important in India and Nepal relations.
Okay.
UP and Bihar, which share boundaries with Nepal, a lot of familial ties also exist.
Only UP shares the boundary? Or
UP and Bihar.
UP and Bihar.
Yes, sir.
In fact, there are 5 states
Yes,
which
sir.
share boundary
Yes.
with
sir.
Nepal.
Sir.
Yeah. So that is the second reason. What other reasons?
So other reason I believe is that India wants to have a strong neighborhood policy, and for that, and also it wants South Asia as a region to emerge as a strong region, because right now there are problems with South Asian integration, and that's why India wants to portray itself as a leader country in South Asia, and that's why it is also working on its relationship with Nepal and is being interested in that.
Any other reasons? For example, just to throw a hint,
Yes, sir.
the rivers originating from Nepal,
Yes, sir.
so they contribute towards the rivers
Yes, sir.
in India.
Yes, sir.
So that also it builds on the ecology of India. So many perennial rivers of India, they are fed by rivers from Nepal. And then of course, anything to do with the culture and the religion?
Yes, sir. So Hinduism is a big link.
Yeah.
And also people, girls are married across borders. It's always said that Nepal and India share roti and beti ka relation.
Yeah.
So people-to-people ties are immensely strong.
Anything to do with our defense forces contribution of Nepal.
Sir, the
Gurkhas.
Gorkha regiment
So that
are
also
Nepalis.
gets from there. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So these are the reasons of cooperation. So in the same manner, there can be other countries also, adjacent to India. So you will just Nepal you have brought out very well.
Yes.
One or two other things which I would like to mention is that there was a movement which was started, which was called as Me Too movement.
Yes.
In India also, and after some time it fizzled out.
Yes.
What was the reason? Why it fizzled out?
Sir, Me Too movement was majorly a social media driven movement. And what happens in any kind of movement which is social media driven and it doesn't feature itself on the ground is that a lot is written, a lot is talked about over a very short period of time in very large volume. But what happens after a period of time, because a certain other issue comes up and replaces it, that issue slides down a bit. Also, Me Too movement started from after a certain case was put out in USA, and after that, many countries were part of the movement, even as you talked about in India. But because a lot of legal cases started to happen against the accused in USA, the case fizzled down.
Now, supposing a hypothetical situation, you are a civil servant, and there are 4 candidates, and they have obtained the same marks in the written examination, and they have also performed equally well in the interview also. But one of them has a sifarish, a recommendation. So, will it be correct to select that person with a sifarish? After all of them have got the same marks in both interview and the written examination. So, will it be correct to select a person with a recommendation or not? Would you do that?
No, sir, I would strongly stand against it. Because when all 4 candidates are at equal standing according to their academic rigor, according to their performance that they have put across, any kind of outside influence shouldn't come into the recommendation process.
So, how will you select which candidate? They have obtained the same marks.
Sir, we can formulate a certain criteria. For example, we can put emphasis more on maybe our GS 4 marks, the ethics paper marks, because that brings out a lot of creativity and a lot more value-based answers are required in that paper. So maybe we can put up a category where whoever has got more marks in GS 4 ethics paper, integrity paper, they can be put up in a higher rank.
Yeah, good criterion. Or there can be others also, for example, age.
Yes,
Whosoever is senior in age, so therefore he should be.
Yes, sir, that can be
many criteria.
Yes, sir.
What do you understand by conflict of interest? Because that is where civil servant faces many times. He or she is in ethical dilemma, and there is a predicament. Both options seem to be right, and which option to choose? So what is the
conflict of interest is when a civil servant would choose a way out, they would also benefit in a certain way from that from the decision that they are making. For example, if a civil servant has to decide on who would get the new contract for a bridge that is to be mended or that has to be manufactured, and one of the contractors is a person that they know, then there is a certain conflict of interest in their decision, and in that situation it's better to be transparent that I know this particular contractor, and a different decision making process should be used to decide.
Okay, my last question to you.
Yes, sir.
For everything, we go to the deities. For example, if you want money, you go to Lakshmi.
Yes.
If you want power, you go to Durga.
Yes.
And if you want education, you go to Saraswati.
Yes.
And yet, we people in India, we do not respect the ladies as we should. For everything, we are going to the lady deities, but we don't have that kind of respect. So, why does it happen? And what can you do if you become a civil servant to improve the status and respect for women in the society?
So the most important point that I feel is that has been the problem, that women are not getting the respect that they deserve, is the economic dependence of women on the male members and the family in general. So I'll be working more on economic, building the women in the area that I am in economically independent. For example, having SHGs. For example, we have people like Ila Bhatt ma'am who has worked a lot in that area. And also in my state, Jharkhand, I was reading a report that SHGs helped rural development to a great extent, and women were a lot very active. So I think even in families that we see that economically, when we get economic independence, a certain kind of value is added to our voice. So economic independence is something I would like to work upon.
Okay, very good.
Sanskriti Trivedy.
Yes,
Can you explain the meaning of your full name? Sanskriti and then Trivedy.
Ma'am, Sanskriti, it's a Sanskrit word, and if we translate it, it means culture. Culture is a way of life, historically. The tradition that is being going on is also culture. And Trivedi is my surname that my family uses. And I tried to look upon the meaning of Trivedi, that what three Vedas are we reading. My father was not aware.
So which one did you miss out?
Sir, ma'am, I'm not sure.
How many Veds do we have?
Ma'am, we have 4 Veds.
Which are those?
Ma'am, we have the Rig Ved, the Sam Ved, the Yajur Ved, and the Athar Ved.
All right. Can you just tell me what is Yajur Ved?
Ma'am, I don't know the details on that.
So are all the 4 Veds different from each other? They are interlinked? How do they work?
Ma'am, they are not entirely different. Rig Ved is the first Ved, and it contains a lot of hymns. And ma'am, what I'm aware about is that a lot of addition and a lot of work has been worked upon on the already mentioned hymns in the Rig Ved. In a lot of Veds, like Sam Ved contains a lot of song form of the Veds.
So you must read on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Since Trivedi.
Yes.
You know, that is why. Okay. Because there is the Ved, Rig Ved, basic Ved, and then the sacrifices, the musical, the melodies.
Yes, ma'am.
That bit.
Yes,
look at it. The second hobby which you have is Gita chanting. Now, what is Gita? Is it a sermon or a dialogue?
Ma'am, Gita, essentially, if we talk about it, is in a dialogue form between Arjun and Shri Krishna. And also, it has a certain commentaries by Sanjay and Dhritarashtra too. But if we look at the contents about it, it becomes a sermon by Shri Krishna to Krishna when he is in a dilemma that whether he should be taking part in a war which has his family as his members.
But would you call it a sermon? Because he's answering questions which Arjun is asking him.
Yes, ma'am. So Arjun raises a lot of questions and Krishna answers.
So it's an ethical dilemma which he is facing, and that is why he's asking those questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what is the one single learning of Gita?
Ma'am, the biggest learning is doing one's duty. Nishkam karma, as it's said, that doing one's duty, not thinking too much about the results, because we should always be controlling what is in our hands, which is not in our hands is anyway not in our hands. So just do our duty without any...
Phal ki ichha mat karo.
Yes,
Now, Krishna is the incarnation of which Hindu deity?
Ma'am, Vishnu.
Yeah. Okay, and the setting of Gita is, what is the background?
Ma'am, the war between the Pandavas and the Kurus are about to start.
Gita is part of which Hindu scripture?
Ma'am, it's part of the Mahabharata.
And who's credited it with writing this?
Ma'am, it's said that Ved Vyasa was narrating it and Lord Ganesh wrote it.
Yeah. And what's the real name of Ved Vyas?
Ma'am, I don't know, ma'am.
Okay. Since you talked of Gita, that's why I'm asking all these questions. Now, Bihar had a long tradition of very good educational institutes. Can you name some of them?
Yes, ma'am. There was a Pusa Institute for Agricultural...
Ancient.
Okay. Oh, ma'am, you want ancient. Ma'am, there is Nalanda Vishwavidyalaya. There is also there are... ma'am, I can think of Nalanda right now.
Takshila, Vikramashila.
Yes, ma'am. Vikramshila. Yes, ma'am.
Any revival of any of these educational institutes?
Ma'am, Nalanda University is in the radar of the Bihar government and a lot is being done to revive it.
Yeah. So they are setting it. Now, you talked of economic independence of women. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you read Manusmriti?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
Please read that,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
the genesis of all the overpowering and keeping women under control of man begins, the origins are in Manusmriti. Do you think the National Commission of Women should have more teeth?
Ma'am,
More teeth?
yes, ma'am, because the National Commission of Women is a statutorily made body with a focus on the rights and legal aid for women, and a lot of research is also being done by
Rights.
Rights of women, ma'am.
I don't think it focuses so much on the rights as the wrongs being corrected.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, and what has happened is that a National Commission of Women, because it is being appointed by the government and also it gets its funds from the government, there is a certain kind of lack of transparency in its functioning. And also what we see is that less work on the groundwork is being done, and more focus is on academic work, less focus on ground work.
What is the genesis of National Commission of Women? Why was it started? When was it established?
Ma'am, it was in early 1990s. I cannot recall.
Early 90s, yes, you're right.
I cannot
But
recall
why?
the exact.
Why? What was the reason why it was set up? A lot of NRI marriages were going wrong.
Okay.
So just read on that.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
You talked of the social media, Me Too movement.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the social media coming to an end?
No, ma'am. Social media, I don't believe it's coming to an end. Social media, actually, I believe is growing by leaps and bounds these days. Earlier, social media was a kind of entertainment, a kind of free, something that people used to enjoy in their free time. But what has happened today, social media is also providing employment to a lot of people. Many jobs are being
But all the
created.
controversies on social media, all the banning of the social media, all the fallouts of the social media.
Ma'am, those problems do remain about social media, but...
And they are growing.
Yes, ma'am, they are growing because the problem is that regulation is a problem. Laws are there, but the IT laws that we have are of 2000 and 2001.
Misuse of those laws?
Ma'am, there are certain misuse of the law, and we need reform laws that cater to the internet boom that we have experienced post 2015-16, when we saw a lot of internet being consumed.
My last question to you.
Yes, ma'am.
In the backdrop of the Russia-Ukraine war, India was a great exporter of wheat. India suddenly decided to stop exporting. Why? What were the repercussions?
Ma'am, India stopped exporting wheat during that time because what happened was that we saw food inflation started to rise, and there was noted a shortage of wheat in our country.
Why food inflation?
Ma'am, because we started to export a lot of wheat to countries like Egypt.
No, Egypt was much, it was lower in the pecking order. What was the main reason why we found a shortage, or we decided to put a ban on export?
Ma'am, there was shortage in the buffer stocks that we had.
Why?
Ma'am, I'll have to read on that, ma'am.
Read on that. Weather was one of the, so that will link with your climate change and other things.
Yes, ma'am.
So, which is the largest exporter of wheat?
Ma'am, Russia is the largest exporter.
And then what happened?
Ukraine is also the one of the largest exporters.
Yes. India comes much below, but then wheat from India was very, very important. I think he's showing me that. So, I just wanted to ask you one more question, Geeta Chanting, on the gender issue. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sanskriti,
yes, ma'am.
Since you have opted for PSIR
yes,
and also done Masters in Pol Science, so let's talk on some of these subjects or the issues or the topics.
Yes, sir.
You must have heard two terms, ping pong diplomacy and shuttle diplomacy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Shuttle diplomacy, have you heard?
Yes, sir. Shuttle diplomacy is concerned with India and Pakistan relation.
Okay. Can I give you a hint?
Yes, sir.
Henry Kissinger.
So then I need to read up on
Middle East, the first oil shock, 1974.
Okay, sir.
So sorting out the various issues, the to and fro diplomacy used in that context is called
shuttle diplomacy. Okay.
What is ping pong diplomacy? I will tell you the year, 1971.
So
Further hint?
The 1971, I can think of the Indo-Russian
No. Henry
Treaty of
Kissinger
Friendship.
again.
Sir, I'll have to read
US-China relations.
Okay, sir.
Opening up of China and Kissinger's secret visit to China. Have you read about it?
No, sir. I have not.
No. Okay, broadly tell me the US-China relations, how they have progressed.
Sir,
In few words, very snapshot kind of a thing.
Sir, during just when the Cold War started, China was on the side of the USSR, and when USSR and China had their fallout.
And which year was that? 1969.
Okay, sir. Then India.
And
US,
what was the issue between Russia and China? Border dispute.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
I'll have to read on that, sir.
Oh, yeah, no problem. And then what happened?
And then, sir, then US and China started to come
And
close.
which country facilitated that, became a facilitator and continued to, punch above its weight for many, many years to come? Pakistan.
Pakistan, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So how the US-China relations have progressed? We were on that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So both have good relations after there was fallout between USSR and China, and sir, I think I'm in.
Okay. No.
So I can just recall the recent relations. I am not able to face it in a historical.
Have you heard of a book called The Long Game by Rush Doshi?
No, sir.
That the Chinese grand strategy to replace American-led order.
No, sir, I haven't read of the book.
So, when is your interview?
So 6th March.
Oh, 6 months is plenty of time. If it is not possible to go through the book, just read its review, what it contains, and that gives you a complete picture. You see, Americans thought that opening up China will be in overall interest, and China will liberalize and democratize in the long run. That has not happened. This is the main theme. Okay. As far as Indian subcontinent is concerned, it is the least integrated subcontinent or the part of the world. What is the reason?
So there have been, because they share a lot of geographical boundary, there has been a lot of boundary conflict. For example, India and China have their set of conflicts.
Okay.
Each country has certain kind of border conflict, which adds to the issue. Secondly, the economic integration is also weak, and that also.
Why?
So that happens because even the transportation way is less. For example, in the mountainous region of the Himalayas, less amount of infrastructure is present, which also reduces the trade. And sir, also the kind of the other smaller countries which surround India believe that India plays a kind of a big brother role, which reduces the trust among the countries as a whole.
So
and
broadly
that
speaking, trust deficit is one of the reasons.
Trust deficit is an issue, yes, sir.
Which is anything else you can think of? Insurgency?
Yes, sir. Insurgency.
Being supported from across the border?
Yes, sir.
Or terrorism?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. Water dispute?
Yes, sir. And interstate conflict, for example, India and Pakistan have their set of relations, and that has led to SAARC not meeting up regularly.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
So you know the answer. Just have to think it through.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
A snapshot view of the Indian foreign policy since 1947 till date.
Sir, Indian foreign policy during just after independence followed the non-aligned strategy because India wasn't inclined to join any of the power blocks. But Indian
And what was the reason? Why?
So because India had just become independent and didn't want to, because it had a sense of fear that any kind of dependence on any bloc can cost its sovereignty. That's why it decided to have the NAM policy.
Proceed.
Apart from NAM policy, India has been, since independence, a leader of the developing world, and it has also led the movement for more of economic independence for the global south in the form of sir, I'm not able to recall the organization.
Okay. It's all right.
Then
India is leader of G20 and
yes,
still
sir.
talking about
the global
the
south.
interest of global south.
Yes, sir.
Is it in contradiction to its stand of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam?
No, sir, it's not. I don't think so. It's in contradiction. It is in a part of it, because Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam is treating the entire world as one single unit,
But
single
as
family.
G20 leader, can you say that I will promote the global south interest?
So, but this is not in contradiction with India's foreign policy, because India has been following India has emerged as the leader of global south since its independence, and for the family or the Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam to be possible, each member has to be in the equal standing. And currently, we see global south is backwards in many ways. So India has emerged as leader because it wants to it wants the aim of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, and it knows that global south needs that extra push.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Saxena.
Sanskriti,
Yes, sir.
I take it that your parents, besides giving you a very good name, Sanskriti, must have given you good sanskars also.
Yes, sir.
You know what is sanskar?
Yes, sir.
What are sanskars?
So sanskar is so just way of behavior of how you carry yourself, how you talk and treat to people of various ages, how you are in general, how you behave with not only with people you know but also to strangers.
Okay. Who is a role model in life?
Sir, my parents are my role model because I see that I can learn a lot from both of them. From my father, I can learn a lot of hard work and also perseverance, and also I also want to imbibe the values that he has, that he doesn't have any kind of social media. I do not promote that a person doesn't need to have any social media, but he uses his time very productively in reading and gaining his knowledge. I want to take.
He is still in service or retired?
No, sir. He is in the service.
He
uses
so
whatever.
Nikon has a branch here in Delhi?
Yes, sir. The
Earlier
head
it
office.
was not there. If I.
No, sir. I think it has been.
What kind of job did they perform here? Because they have a very huge office in Ranchi.
Yes, sir.
I have been there.
So they are mostly consulting.
I know, consultancy
Yes, sir.
organizations. Okay, I find that you have chosen your subjects, PSIR, very carefully. You have studied BA from Gargi College and then MA from JNU.
Yes, sir.
Probably you must be keeping your ambition
Yes, sir.
of becoming a civil servant in mind.
Yes, sir.
Was that the...
Yes, so that was the biggest reason, sir.
Okay. Okay, let me talk something about international relations.
Yes, sir.
India is having constant troubles by its two immediate neighbors, especially Pakistan and China.
Yes, sir.
And of late, even Nepal has started misbehaving with India.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Yes, sir.
staking their claims to Kala Pani region or Pinu Lake, what is that name?
Susta and Kalapani.
Kala Pani, eh?
Yes, sir.
Lipu Lake.
Yes, sir. Lipu Lake.
Lipu
Yes,
Lake,
sir. Yes, sir.
So, are they permanent pain in our neck? Can we ever live peacefully, amicably with these neighbors, especially Pakistan and China? China is an expansionist country. They want the entire, Arunachal Pradesh. They are taking claim to other areas also.
Sir, in this direction, I think India has been putting the best what it can do. It has been trying to always negotiate matters rather than taking onto force or taking issues unnecessarily to international platforms. It is trying to engage with countries bilaterally. It also tried to engage with Pakistan. But when Pakistan showed its excesses, it had to respond equally. But today,
are you satisfied with our foreign policy, or is it flawed?
Sir, overall, I feel I am satisfied with our foreign policy, but I think more can be done to showcase India's, because India wants to be a security provider in the region. India wants to showcase itself as one of the major stakeholders in the strategic space. So I think a push is indeed needed, especially when we see if and India has a region which is not yet integrated well. So I think South Asia can be a particular region where it can emerge as a leader, because even if it is not considered a leader in South Asia, it would be a problem to call it a leader of the world. So a certain push is needed so that it can emerge as a leader of the region first.
Okay. What are the factors which can influence the shaping of a foreign policy?
So there are multiple factors. For example, history can be one of the factors, that how historical.
What is it?
So history, how historically the two countries had their relations. Apart from it, the geography that they, if they are countries that touch borders, what kind of geography that they have. Third factor that can shape foreign relations is the kind of strategic thought that is popular. What kind of academic research is being done.
What is the role of Indian diaspora?
So Indian diaspora is sending a lot of remittances to India. India receives one of the largest remittance from as compared to other countries. And secondly, there's a certain kind of influence also in the political space of other countries due to our diaspora being present there. Our diaspora has also performed well in research field in other countries.
Okay. Let us talk about gender equality. Do you believe in gender equality?
Yes, sir. I strongly believe in gender equality, sir.
So you don't support the idea of or demand for 30% reservation for women in the parliament?
Sir, I believe that for equality, then there needs to be certain special steps for those who are disadvantaged for them to be equal. So any kind of reservation policy, as you talked about the women reservation in the legislative parliament, would be needed, because currently I feel that women are not in a position that they can occupy a 50% of the parliament. So certain kind of additional
Gram Panchayat, I think 30% reservation is already in vogue, no?
Yes.
But what about municipalities, urban areas, parliament, assemblies? It is still, the main villains are the political parties. They are opposing it. Why? What is the reason?
So they feel that the seats that they could have won could be won by women. Sir, I can think of that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, you seem to be focused on civil services, as one of the panelists said that you chose the right subjects.
Yes.
What makes you think you will make a good administrator?
So the quality that I feel that is present in me and that would make a good civil servant is that I'm very perseverant. This is my 4th attempt, sir, and I committed my share of mistakes earlier. But I could work upon the mistakes and be persistent on my dream, because this is what I dreamt of. And I know when I go to the field and any kind of work, I will be perseverant, because civil servants are also known as change makers in whatever smallest way they can. And I think being perseverant is one of the biggest factors that can bring smallest of change, sir.
Right, for anybody who's involved in policy formulations, I think one of the important things is vision. Vision.
Yes.
And situational awareness.
Yes, sir.
Where you need to go and what is your environment.
Yes, sir.
So, how does that apply to an administrator in Indian context?
Sir, as you talked about, for vision, for vision, there needs to be a certain idea that they want to work upon. For example, if a person is a lot interested in the environmental issues and he or she is posted in a district, they can take up work related to maybe cleaning up a local tank which serves many people there, but it's very polluted. So their vision may be very big of having a cleaner environment, having a better and arresting climate change, but they can start with a small thing as cleaning up a local village level tank or canal.
How do you define conscience? Conscience.
So conscience is that inner calling or inner a kind of an inner judgment that one has, and it helps us make decision when we are facing any kind of crisis. And that conscience always acts as a mirror also, that if you are making this decision, would it be right? If you are being too selfish to make this decision, or you are thinking of others too. It's a kind of a moral quote.
Inner voice that guides you when you're in an ethical dilemma.
Yes, sir.
About 2 months back, there was a news that one lady civil servant, IAS officer, she was suspended and 83 crore rupees worth of assets were attached, and she had a hospital in her name. You know, she owned a hospital. Have you heard of this news?
No, sir, I have
You've not heard. You know, what checklist can you chart out for yourself that when you're in an ethical dilemma where you could actually take morally a wrong direction, which reminds you that no, that's not the path to go, and this is the path to go. You can work out some kind of 3-4 questions that you answer those questions, and that makes sure that you don't take the wrong direction.
Sir, I would first of all raise a question that what is the end goal of the decision that I am taking, whether that end goal is consistent, and I would then think of that answer to that end goal. If that answer contains only self-interest, then I'll have to reassess my decision. And if that answer is related to the interest of the beneficiaries for which the decision is to be made, I'll go ahead and make the decision. Also, the second question that I would ask myself is that whether I am in that position, whether do I have any kind of conflict of interest before making a decision. So I will also assess my
So you
position.
had one question. If you ever, I'm sure you'll be a civil servant one day, you ask yourself this question, that whatever I am doing,
Yes.
can I go and tell my parents and my children and my family that I have done this, and they would be happy about it? If the answer is yes, you'll always on the right path. If the answer is no,
No.
right?
Yes, sir.
You come from Bihar?
Sir, my parents were originally from Bihar, but I have been born and brought up in Jharkhand, sir.
Okay, there is a regiment by the name of the state in your region. What is the name of that regiment? Regiment in the Indian Army?
Sir, I'm
Have
not
you heard
aware,
of
sir.
a regiment called the Bihar Regiment?
No, sir.
Okay, there is a regiment called Bihar Regiment, like 25 others.
Okay, sir.
And their hero of that regiment is Birsa Munda.
Yes, sir, I am aware.
You heard of Birsa Munda?
Yes, sir, I am aware of Birsa Munda.
What was he?
So Birsa Munda he's known both as a reformer and also as a revolutionary. He was a reformer because he asked the tribal people of the Ranchi region to stop practicing practices like witch hunting or any kind of myth and superstition, and he asked them to move towards a more reformed, progressive way. And he was also revolutionary because he planned a revolution against the foreigners, the foreign moneylenders, Britishers in the region of Chota Nagpur. So
Right, you are DGP of Jharkhand, and some minister, your subordinate police officer comes in that I have been told by the Home Minister of that state to collect X amount of money every month from wherever he collects and give it to him. What will you do? Have you understood the question? You are DGP, some IG police. He says, Home Minister of so-and-so state, whichever state, has asked me that every month 100 crore rupees will be collected and you have to give it to me. And he's telling you.
Sir,
so what action will you take?
Sir, I would oppose this because this would mean that money which would go to certain section of beneficiaries will have to go, or any kind of illegal extortion.
Oppose in which manner? In what manner will you oppose it?
Sir, first of all, I'll talk to the IG who is asking me to indulge in such activities, and if there is no solution that
IG
comes
is
up.
being told by a minister.
Yes.
I'm giving you a live example of what happened in Maharashtra.
Okay, sir.
This is exactly what happened there.
Okay,
So as DGP, what will you tell him? I'm your IGP. I'm telling you this. Conscience. You go back to conscience.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Always do the right thing.
Yes,
At least you will be able to sleep in peace.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so Sanskriti,
Yes, sir.
we will take you back for a few moments outside.
Okay, sir.
We'll call you back again for giving the feedback.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Sanskriti. Have a seat, Sanskriti. So, Sanskriti, first of all, are you nervous?
Yes, sir, I am a bit.
There is no need to be nervous. Let me tell you at the beginning.
Yes, sir.
And this is the first time you are going to appear at an interview?
Yes, sir.
The panel is always very friendly.
Yes, sir.
They will put you at ease.
Okay, sir.
You don't have to have any anxiety.
Okay, sir.
In fact, you will be made to sit in the waiting room,
Yes, sir.
and there a lot number of newspapers will be lying there. There will be drinking water. You can take water and keep your always throat wet.
Yes, sir.
Take a glance at the newspapers and wait for your turn. And when you enter the room, then just take long breaths. That will bring down your nervousness also. And also start having a kind of an auto suggestion to you that here is an opportunity which has come to me and I must make it.
Yes, sir.
You will do your best.
Yes, sir.
And whatever time now is left, that is up to March, is quite a good amount of time you have. And just forget all the things which you have been doing as an extracurricular activities. Concentrate on this, because if you do your karma, your Gita chanting you have done.
Yes.
So if you do your karma, you don't have to worry about the result, which I am sure it will be. This time you will definitely get selected. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Your performance has been exceptional, very good.
Okay, sir.
And in fact, some of the things I was noting down. So let me first of all talk about the positive things which you have already earned. One was that your confidence level is very good,
Okay, sir.
and your mental alertness was also fine. You could analyze the problem, pros and cons, analytical skills were also there, clear and logical. There was no bluffing,
Okay, sir.
and came out with more or less very honest answers, and communication skills are also fairly good.
Okay.
And the knowledge part is something which there is no end to that. You can keep on improving the knowledge. But let me come to the knowledge part first. Since you belong to, since you have taken political science and politics and also optional political science, so therefore naturally political science will be one area where you should study more.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And some of the questions which were asked to you about international relations and political science. So that is one very major area, because all the three levels you have done political science. And then coming to Gita chanting thing which you have mentioned. So the hobbies which you have mentioned, quizzing and Gita chanting and Indian cuisine. So Indian cuisine, we did not ask you any question, but what is that thing which you like in Indian cuisine? How is it different from other cuisines at the international level? Some of the cuisines, programs which are there on television, which can, Australia and America and so on. These all related things may come to you. Then coming to your Ranchi, so your own state, what are the problems which are being faced by your state? So the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Prepare them well.
Okay, sir.
And supposing a question is asked that you have become the industry secretary and you have to bring a foreign investor to your state. You have got cadre, your own cadre you have got.
Yes.
It. So then how will you attract that particular? What are the things you are going to talk about? For that it is necessary to know the agriculture, the crops, the irrigation, the power supply, the infrastructure, the law and order, the crime situation, the labor position, status of women, the culture, the eating habits, everything.
Yes, sir.
It's a good idea if you go and read the gazetteer of your state. So district gazetteers are also there and state information is also there. That will give you the historical places also, like questions were asked about the places of learning, you see, which are the universities. So have a good knowledge about the education, the tradition and everything.
Okay.
So that is one thing, and the subject, and then the hobbies, and then question may be asked to you about why do you want to join IPS, and IAS is the first preference, why IPS is the second preference, and so on.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Now coming to some of the questions which were asked to you regarding international
Yes, sir.
relations, and
Yes, sir.
so I asked you question about Nepal, which you
Yes,
came
sir.
out very well. Similarly, you should prepare in
Other
respect of Sri Lanka and Pakistan and Myanmar and Bhutan and all those things. What are India's relations, and what is the cooperation which India extends? A question was asked regarding Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Now, one very good example of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is that humans are everywhere was displayed by the government during the COVID-19. So, COVID-19 policy, the vaccine matri, etc. You know, that is an example that because human beings are everywhere. Any question which you answer, prepare a good example for that.
Okay. Okay.
That will support your answer very well.
Okay, sir.
And whenever you speak, take a pause, then think in which context that question has been asked. Okay? Then you will be able to relate that context immediately to your answer. And always prioritize. So, which is the most important part of the answer? For example, what will you do for the women in your district? So, there will be many steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which is the most important step? Speak that first, then the second one and the third one. How will you bring down the corruption in your office? There will be many steps. You will use technology, you will, the responsiveness, you will listen to the public grievances, so they prioritize the answer. And always be prepared for supplementary questions, because one question may be asked, then another question may be asked subsequently also. And if you are in doubt, you can take a few moments, request the panel that may I take a few seconds, think about it. If you know the answer, well and good. If you do not know the answer, you can say I do not know. Believe me, the panel is very friendly, and you will not face any such problem of nervousness there. But you have to understand that 25 minutes is the period in which you have to give out your best. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Which I am sure, and all of us are sure, you will do that very well. Now coming to certain questions which may be asked to you, they are controversial questions. For example, hijab controversy, or it can be regarding demonetization or Ayodhya temple or Article 370, GST, surgical strikes, citizen register. So these are central vista. So these are questions in which different people have different views about it. Okay? So you will have to give both the sides of the picture. Don't stick to particular side, because one thing you must remember is that in the interview they try to find out whether the candidate is rational, whether he or she is secular, and whether he or she is ethical. So that is why many questions on ethical dilemmas will be posed on to you. And the question was asked about the conscience. Conscience is one of the most important ways of finding out when you are in predicament as to what step is right, what option is right, and what is not right. Okay? So the role of conscience is very much there. And then you understand the value system which are required, because civil servants is considered to be not a job, but it is a service to the citizens of this country. So understand the value system, the integrity, the honesty, and again give examples. Supposing they say, what do you understand by integrity? So give an example. The example can be, for example, that you are driving down on the road at midnight and suddenly there is a red light. So a person having integrity would stop at the red light even when no one is present there. So he will not jump there. That is an example of integrity. So this is how you will give. And accountability, so you can give an example of Lal Bahadur Shastri when he resigned as the railway minister. So everything should be backed up by the example. And then coming to some other things which I wanted to talk to you, that was the good governance principle, role of e-governance, economy of the country right now. Particularly there have been three things which have happened one after another. So demonetization, GST and COVID-19. So which has put our economy in a slightly difficult situation, but then recovery is taking place very fast. Talk about some of the public policies which the government brought about, Atmanirbhar Bharat and PLI and Stand Up India and Startup India. You must be having good knowledge about all the steps that have been taken post COVID-19. Okay? And also understand the role of the international institutions, the United Nations institution, their relevance, their contribution for children, it can be for trade, it can be for labor, it can be for health and so on. And then coming to the communication skills, your communication skills are very fine. Maybe you can slightly slow down your speed, but don't make a very great effort, because then it may affect your natural style of speaking. But if you can bring a pause in between, that will automatically take care of the speed. And don't include such kind of words like well, these are, we did not find any one of these, but sometimes people have that tendency. If you can spin before a mirror, it's a good idea to understand how your facial expressions are taking place, the body language is taking place. I asked you many questions on different general knowledge and the current affairs like Me Too movement and etc. You came out with that, the situation of women in the society. So the policies, particularly since you are, you will be concerned with the women welfare, understand what are the public policies and acts. So Domestic Violence Act, Dowry Prohibition Act, the POSH, the Vishakha Guidelines, and the POXO Act, and Senior Citizens Protection Act. The role of the district administration, you must prepare. You have given IAS as your first preference. What is the role of the collector in terms of revenue administration, in terms of law and order, in terms of coordination as developmental functions, elections, and also for taking implementation of policies. So read about it, this, go to a collector's office, I would suggest to you, have a first hand knowledge about how the district administration works, go to a block development office, understand how the Panchayati Raj institutions work. So these are basically the things which I wanted to talk to you about. And then the world problems which are facing this world. So poverty and health and education and in the sustainable development goals and COVID-19 and climate change and migration, you must read them quite a bit. And then Russia-Ukraine war is something which, what effect it has introduced, supply chain disruption and so on, and India's foreign policy. Question was asked to give a snap shot of that. So that you should study how it has evolved over a period of time. Whenever there are controversial questions, as I said, do not give any particular strong view, don't have a strong view about any particular thing. You have to give both the sides a balanced view, because that is why it is said that you have to be rational. And if they ask for your opinion, always follow the official line. Do not go against the official line, and that will help you, ultimately in endearing the panelist, you see with there. And then of course read the constitution and economy of this country, the budget, some of the things which have taken place like privatization, asset monetization pipeline, these are the things which are happening, and that's about it. But one more thing which I would like to mention before I part. What is the dress that you will be wearing at the time of interview?
Sir, I'll be wearing a sari, sir.
Yeah, perfect. And any question that you have, you want to ask?
Sir, I think I'm not that fluent because I don't speak a lot of English at home. So
No, you
perfectly fine.
Quite fluent.
You are very good.
I think that is a biggest problem that I
don't
face.
Be diffident.
Get it out of your head.
Not at all. You are very.
Sanskriti, what is that thread?
Oh, my mother asked me to.
Oh no. Okay. So when you appear,
I need to. I'll remember.
so only for that 25 minutes. Is it possible to be without it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
So your communication, you see, knowledge is fairly good, but you can improve upon that knowledge in the areas which we have said. These are areas where if you work, read the constitution, article 1 to last article. You will understand everything there, okay? Because all laws emanate from the constitution. And if you practice the communication skill before a mirror, but this is not to say that you are not having good communication. You are having excellent communication skills. Your expression is very good, choice of words is very good, you have not faltered at any point of time, and therefore there is nothing to feel slightly embarrassed. There is no embarrassment. You will do very well, and your attitude is also very positive. And as I can see that when that, the going gets tough, the tough get going. So you are one of the tough candidates, and you will definitely do extremely well.
Thank you.
And you have done so in the last 4 years, and we are very confident that you will do exceedingly well. Any other question you have to ask?
Sir, I had a doubt about how to deal with controversial questions, but you talked about it.
Yeah.
Sir, nothing else as such. Okay.
All the best to you.
Thank you.
You will do
Thank
very
you.
well.
Thank
All the best.
Thank you.
Unacademy. Let's crack it.